A skiing video went viral online. A man and a woman flew off a snowboard, the woman broke her ribs, and the man hugged her, comforting her. Gossip blogs reshared it with the caption, "Marry a boyfriend who cares about your safety like this." Mark sent me a message. "Transfer me 50,000, my friend is in the hospital. Urgent need." I stared at the video on loop for a long time before asking, are they definitely a couple? The man in the video is Mark. Comments quickly surged to the top. I was there. They even kissed before they started. Look, isn't he wearing matching outfits? My partner and I just bought some. I don't know if they're a couple, but if it were just a normal relationship, he definitely wouldn't be touching her face. Because of my comment, the video went viral overnight. Gossip-hungry netizens are obsessed with this kind of drama and quickly piece together the relationship between Sarah, Mark, and Lily. It was an old story. I married below my social standing to Mark. Exactly a year ago, I was posting about how wonderful it is to have you, and now, a year later, I could only cry while holding my newborn. Since the baby was born, Mark used the excuse of being busy with work and never came back. I'd been in my postpartum recovery period for 20 days, and him even answering my call was a luxury. In the video, after Lily flew off the snowboard, she couldn't move. Mark knelt beside her, close by, constantly comforting her, his face full of worry. Onlookers said he stayed by her side until rescue personnel arrived before getting up. Meanwhile, I had a difficult labor in the hospital, and he refused to let me have a C-section. I was in pain for a grueling 35 hours before finally getting a C-section. He only looked at the baby in the end, concerned only with whether our son was healthy. He said he was going to earn money for formula and vanished without a trace the next day. I didn't want Eleanor and Henry to worry, so I continued to live in Willow. The exterior walls were mottled. Weeds grew in the cracks of old roof tiles, and dense spiderwebs stretched across the firewood piled inside the house. From his house to mine, I had to walk 10 kilometers of muddy road, then transfer to a bus, and then take public transport. When I first arrived, I felt sorry for him having to do so much work alone and care for his elderly mother. I tried to learn how to plant rice, gather firewood, and mix feed for the chickens. Now, all these responsibilities fell on me. The baby would cry and fuss at night, and during the day, Doris would call me to do household chores. The baby wailed again, and Doris yelled at me to answer the cell phone, saying Mark needed me. Looking at my haggard reflection in the mirror, I finally realized that being blindly devoted to romance would only trap me here forever. Eleanor, hearing my ordeal over the phone, broke down in tears and drove with Henry that night to pick me up. When saw Eleanor and Henry, she thought they were coming to give cash gifts in an envelope for the baby, and greeted them with a smiling face, leaning on her cane. The previous times Eleanor and Henry visited, they always brought bags full of things, and before leaving, they would give Doris a large cash gift in an envelope. I knew they were worried about me and wanted Doris to treat me better. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. Eleanor and Henry exchanged a few pleasantries with Doris, then wanted to take me home. Doris's face immediately fell. It's not time for her to go back to her parents' home yet. If she leaves, who will take care of my grandson? I'm taking the baby too. No! Mark isn't back yet. How can you take our grandson? We have a rule here that a wife married for less than 3 years cannot go back to her parents' home alone if her husband is away. Although had difficulty moving, she had a sharp tongue. Eleanor scoffed and told Henry to take me first. Even in the ages, there was no such rule. What kind of place is this, daring to make rules for my daughter? To be frank, my daughter is divorcing your son. We're taking her today, and she won't be coming back. What? Divorce? My son married her. How dare she divorce him? Doris's cane immediately hit the ground with a loud thud. She even looked somewhat bewildered. My daughter just got married, she wasn't sold. And your son, with his pathetic manners, even cheated? My family has no use for him now. Eleanor and Henry pulled me along, and Doris, frantic, yelled behind us, "Leave my grandson. He's a Lynn. You heartless wretch. My son provided for you, and you still want a divorce." The cane was practically poking my spine. Doris often used such words to curse me, and I usually ignored it, but with Eleanor and Henry there today, I suddenly found my nerve. I pulled free from Eleanor's hand, Didn't argue with Doris, turned around, and smashed the new TV set in the living room. The sound of the screen shattering silenced Doris. Get it straight, I was basically responsible for these expenses, not your son. I then grabbed the new blanket I had bought for Doris and threw it out. Everything I could remember buying, I didn't want to leave for her and her son. I smashed the bowls I bought, tore the rice cooker apart, and since the refrigerator was too heavy, I cut its power cord. As the room became a wreck, Doris finally came to her senses and called her son, crying, "Son, come back quickly. Your wife smashed the whole house." I heard Mark cursing on the other end, telling me to answer the cell phone. I ignored him, snatched the cell phone, and tossed it into the sink. "I bought you this cell phone too." "Oh, this is outrageous. Bullying an old woman like me alone at home." Doris smoothly lay down on the floor, throwing a fit, and her gold bracelet was revealed. My eyes lit up. Wasn't that the gold bracelet Eleanor had given me as part of my dowry, which Doris had then taken? I held Doris down and started to take the bracelet. Doris's old hands gripped me tightly. Eleanor immediately came to help, successfully snatched the bracelet back, and Doris lay face down on the floor, getting a mouthful of dust. Henry watched, clearly enjoying himself, and asked if there was anything else that needed to be dealt with. Suddenly, thunder rumbled in the sky. I instinctively looked up and saw the patched roof. 6 months ago, several parts of the old, neglected roof were damaged by heavy rain, and water directly leaked onto Doris's bed. I suggested hiring someone to repair the roof, but Doris and Mark both insisted that a quick patch-up would do. Mark even made an excuse and took the money I had set aside for the roof repairs. He walked away without a care, leaving me, 3 months pregnant, to climb the ladder alone and patch the roof, nearly falling and injuring myself. As soon as Henry heard roof, he found a long tool somewhere and started poking holes in the tarpaulin covering the roof. Doris scrambled up from the floor, trying to stop Henry, but Eleanor and I blocked her. In the struggle, I was hit hard by her cane. "You're an elder, so I won't hit you, but next time I see your son, I'll definitely pay him back." By then, Henry had already poked holes through the roof. The rain poured down, and the room was soaked in no time. Oh, what a disaster! How am I supposed to sleep tonight? Doris no longer cared about us, pacing anxiously inside the ruined house. And finally, I got into the car to go home. It was past midnight when I got home. During that time, Mark called my cell phone a few times, but he didn't constantly harass me, just urged me to transfer the money quickly. I guess he was busy running around at the hospital, taking care of Lily. My DMs were flooded with messages from netizens, most of whom were calling me blindly devoted to romance and telling me to run. Angered by their comments, I posted a video that night, proving I was safely home and intended to get a divorce. After that, I gained 200,000 followers. The video had millions of views, and a crowd of people were waiting for my next update. Mark's call came as expected, starting with a furious outburst. "Sarah, what the hell are you doing? This morning, I got a call from Doris saying Eleanor and Henry picked you up yesterday and smashed up my house?" "Oh, Doris's cell phone still works?" "She had a neighbor call me." Mark's tone was extremely impatient. "I'll overlook you damaging the roof for now, but you need to go to county hospital to take care of Doris. She broke her leg while patching the roof." Hearing that, I actually found it somewhat amusing. When I first met Mark, I thought his family wasn't well off, but at least he was filial. Turns out, it was outsourced filial piety. "Didn't Doris tell you I'm divorcing you? Are you sick? The baby was just born. Why divorce?" I said I'm not going to argue about this now. Go back and take care of Doris quickly. The hospital is pushing for payment, and hurry up and give me the $50,000 I asked for earlier. I need it urgently. I can understand you asking me to pay for Doris's medical treatment, but asking me to pay for your girlfriend? Isn't that unreasonable? Silence on the other end of the line. "Mark, I already know your girlfriend broke her ribs skiing and is hospitalized. I won't give you the money. Deal with your girlfriend's situation as soon as possible, then come back and divorce me." Without waiting for Mark to say more, I hung up his cell phone. Soon, my social media app showed an account had tagged me. "This girl who is skiing is my friend. Everyone, please don't over-speculate and affect my family." When I clicked on it, There were already tens of thousands of comments. Mark had specifically created an account to explain. But netizens weren't buying it. LOL, what kind of just friends were matching outfits? Exactly, he was touching her face, and they're just friends? I also added a comment, just friends? Then why are you asking me for money for her hospital stay? The netizens' curses grew fiercer. Mark probably realized the tide was turning against him and deleted the post. You deadbeat wife. What are you doing? Are you trying to get everyone to cyberbully me? I said she's just a friend, what more do you want? Is $50,000 really that hard to give me? Mark, furious, called me again. I was calm, I have no money. How can you have no money? Didn't Eleanor and Henry give you a dowry? If you really don't have it, go ask them. Mark knew I had some private savings when I got married and constantly asked me for money with various excuses. Today a colleague needed a gift. Tomorrow a relative in Willow had a birthday. The amounts he asked for grew larger and larger. In the past, each time I felt sorry for him and actually gave him the money. This time, he seemed convinced I would continue to obey his every command, or perhaps Lily's injury made him desperate and his attitude became much worse. I already said, we're divorcing. Don't even think about taking another cent from me. What kind of attitude is that towards me? What good is divorce for a woman with a child? Your money is mine, isn't it? If you don't give me the money, I'll sell your car. Do what you want. I couldn't be bothered to listen to Mark complain anymore, so I hung up the cell phone. The car was part of my dowry from Eleanor and Henry, and Mark had always driven it. But he probably forgot. The car was registered in my name. The hospital called me, urging me to pay the admission fees. Doris probably hadn't heard from her son, so she had the hospital call me. I had originally planned to refuse, but then I heard Doris badmouthing me to someone else on the phone. Well, she's in the hospital and still so arrogant. I guess I'll go and debunk her rumors. I drove for almost 2 hours to reach the county hospital. When the nurse brought me to the ward, the doctor was also there. Are you the patient's family? Could you settle this bill first, and then tomorrow she needs to take this medicine? I'm not her family. Her son and I are getting a divorce. I cut the doctor off, and the doctor paused for a few seconds, but her son can't come right now. Since she's your mother-in-law, could you advance the medical expenses? Otherwise, she might be forcibly discharged. Then just throw her out of the hospital right now. All my money is with her son, and I also have a baby to take care of, so I don't have time for her. I pinched my sleeping son at the right moment, and he immediately burst into wails. I had specifically brought the baby to confront Doris. She was half lying in the hospital bed, starting to emotionally manipulate me. My son raised you for nothing. You despicable woman. How can you say such heartless things to an elder? Are you even human? You're just taking advantage of my son not being here, aren't you? When he gets back, he'll beat you to death. Then she turned to the neighboring bed and said, "This is the daughter-in-law I told you about. Our family is truly cursed to have married such a woman." The people in the neighboring beds nodded, looking at me with some disdain, even seeming ready to lecture me. I smiled, hearing them, and held up my cell phone. Do you know why your son isn't here? Because he's currently at the hospital, looking after his girlfriend. Look how viral their skiing video is. Netizens nationwide know all about it, and they're all cursing your son. Can't you read? Do you want me to read it to you? He can't even afford his girlfriend's surgery now, so you can forget about your hospital fees. Look at the wonderful son you've raised, cheating and now abandoning his own mother. Hearing about the skiing video, the patients and family members nearby couldn't sit still. So that's the guy. Grandma, you really need to keep your son in line. Doris's face turned ashen. Seeing the situation change, she immediately started screaming about her body hurting. The doctor suggested a full physical examination, but payment was required first. I glanced at Doris, who was throwing a fit on the hospital bed. I have no money. Tell her to find her son, or she can just keep hurting. As I left, I could still hear Doris's loud curses. Doesn't that sound pretty healthy? I heard Doris was later forcibly discharged because Mark never paid the fees. Actually, she had only sprained her ankle, but to trick me into coming home, she deliberately claimed she broke her leg and refused to leave the hospital. When she was sent back, traveling all the way back to Willow by bus, she must have been exhausted. I'm sure she cursed Mark endlessly. Meanwhile, my divorce papers had arrived at their house even before Doris did. Doris and Mark probably realized I was serious, so when Mark called me again, his temper had actually improved a little. Wife, no matter what, Doris is an elder, and she's injured now. No matter how upset you are with her, you can't just abandon her. I can't leave the hospital right now, so please go back and take care of Doris for a few days. Wow, if the first of Cheen had your thick skin to build the great, he wouldn't have exhausted so many laborers. You'd abandon your own mother for your girlfriend, and you expect me to take care of her for you? I told you, she's just a friend. She has no family or friends there, so who else is going to take care of her? Or why don't you come take care of her, and I'll go back and take care of Doris? I almost got caught up in his twisted logic. How dare he? How could he even suggest I openly take care of his girlfriend? Your girlfriend broke her ribs. She'll be hospitalized for at least 10 days to half a month, right? Doris sprained her ankle and is alone at home now. By the time you get back, she might be an orphan. Damn it! Who told you to talk about Doris like that? I can accept you being upset for a few days, but if you continue to be so unreasonable, believe me, you'll be finished when I get back. Mark hurled threats at me, and I immediately posted another video about how he outsourced his filial piety. The video leveraged the previous buzz, quickly gaining traction, and a flood of curses from netizens followed. Mark was now not only a cheating scumbag but also disrespectful of filial piety. Several people had filmed him at the hospital, and in the background audio, you could hear people pointing and whispering about him. In the latest video, Mark got into a fight with someone. The cause was him trying to cut in line while taking Lily for an x-ray. The woman in front refused and made a sarcastic remark, a cheating man trying to cut in line for his girlfriend, how quaint. He, having endured several days of this, finally snapped, throwing something and hitting the woman. Her boyfriend then got into a fight with Mark. Mark was badly beaten, and none of the onlookers intervened. He unleashed all his anger on me, stomping his feet and demanding I delete the video. Fine, sign the divorce papers. Are you kidding me? What man would want a woman with a child like you? Don't keep threatening me with divorce. Even if I divorce you, I can easily find someone else. You're different. I'm giving you a chance now, don't be ungrateful. My confrontation with Mark fell into a deadlock. But I didn't block him because I wanted to see his daily pathetic state. Whenever he had a moment, he would start arguing with me, either demanding money or insisting I go back to take care of Doris, and refusing to divorce me. Finally, 3 days later, he stopped yelling because he discovered the car he had couldn't be sold. Damn it! Why is that car in your name? Transfer ownership to me quickly. Mark ranted and cursed a lot, the gist being that the customer was ready to pay, but they found the car couldn't be transferred. The deal was off. I should be charging you for using my car, and you want a free car? The thought of Mark driving his girlfriend around in a car my family paid for sickened me. Wasn't this car meant for me anyway? I've told you before, what's yours is mine. And since you're the only daughter in your family, all of Eleanor and Henry's money will eventually come to our family, won't it? Mark stopped pretending. I really wanted to slap my past self for being so infatuated with such a man. As long as the car was in my name, Mark couldn't sell it, so I wasn't in a hurry. I had seen enough of the drama, and I didn't want to listen to Mark's idiotic remarks anymore, so I blocked him completely. After only a few quiet days, Mark's girlfriend started causing trouble for me. After I accepted her friend request, she started playing the innocent card with me. Sarah, I know I was wrong. It's all my fault. Please don't blame Mark. He's under a lot of pressure right now. He took out a loan for my surgery, and if he doesn't pay it back, the interest will keep growing. Please help him this one time. I promise I won't bother you two again. I questioned her, if you know you were wrong, why are you dragging him into getting you surgery money? If you really cared about him, you wouldn't be hospitalized for surgery. After all, breaking a rib isn't fatal. Sister, how can you say that? Mark said you were very gentle and virtuous. The typing indicator showed for a long time before she replied with that sentence. 2. Hell with virtuous. That's not even a compliment. Because your Mark is a big liar. He can deceive people emotionally, but trying to trick me out of my money? Not a chance. Since you care so much about him, I'll grant you your wish. When I divorce him, you two can get married, and then you can pay back his loan. She went silent. When I tried to message her again, I found I had been blocked. How boring. Can't even take a joke. While I was still thinking about the two of them, Mark probably used Lily's cell phone to call me. If I divorce you, will you transfer ownership of the car to me? I originally wanted to say no, but as the words came out, I changed them. Yes, as long as you sign the divorce papers, the car will be transferred to you. But you need to drive the car to me. I have the baby and can't come to you. Mark actually drove the car over. He had driven Lily across 2 cities to the ski resort, and on the way back, he told me he was out of gas. I put up with it and transferred him $200. How much does $200 get you? Fill it up or don't. If you don't come, the car won't be transferred. Mark said nothing more. At the transfer ownership office, I handed him the divorce papers. He skimmed them, his mouth twitching slightly. I get nothing? Get it straight, you never gave me any money to begin with. What you came with is what you leave with. Mark started to argue further, then seemed to recall something, and nodded, agreeing. Go ahead and transfer ownership. I'll sign after it's done. I glanced at Mark's cunning expression, went in with him, then made an excuse to go to the restroom. He cursed under his breath. Helpless. Only after I got into the car did I call him. I had deliberately waited for Mark to come out. He saw me sitting in the car, his face full of anger. What are you doing? Get out now. Actually, you never intended to sign the divorce papers. Mark's face froze. I was right, he would never divorce me that easily. But it doesn't matter, because I also never intended to transfer ownership of the car to you. Since you've already driven the car over for me, I'll be on my way now. I rolled up the window. Mark pounded on the glass, yelling, the keys are in my hand. Don't be crazy. The next second, his smile vanished. From a passerby's perspective, it must have looked like a man frantically chasing after a car for a long time, looking utterly pathetic. Although I didn't have the car keys, this car could be controlled by cell phone. If it wasn't to make it easier for me to drive the car away, I wouldn't have given him those $200 for gas. To avoid any complications, I sold the car for a low price that very day. When showed up at my door, he still thought I was tricking him. What do you mean? You didn't actually sell my car, did you? It was my car. I let you drive it for a few days, and you really thought it was yours? The next second, I slapped Mark. That hit Doris gave me. I'm returning it now. Mark's eyes showed 4 words, utter disbelief. He sprang up to grab my neck but was suddenly pushed away by Henry, falling to the ground unexpectedly. Who do you think you are, daring to hit my daughter in front of me? With that, Henry grabbed Mark by the neck and landed several punches on Mark's face. Immediately, half of Mark's face swelled up. He lay on the ground, whimpering, his arrogance gone. Why are you so quiet now? I entrusted my daughter to you, and you cheated on her? You even want money from her? I'm still alive in this family, and you dare to lay a hand on my daughter? Afraid he might get seriously hurt, I rushed up and pulled Henry away. Mark sat up, breathing heavily, still not thinking he was in the wrong. Henry, I'm practically your son. This family's assets will eventually be mine anyway, so why hurt our feelings like this? My cheating was just a bit of fun. It's not like I'm abandoning Sarah and the baby. It would have been better if Mark hadn't said anything. As soon as he spoke, Henry became even angrier. He grabbed Mark by his collar. What did you say? Even if you came here to apologize, I wouldn't forgive you, and you're still plotting to get my daughter's property? Let me tell you, my daughter won't stay with a penniless guy like you. We've already hired a lawyer. Whether you like it or not, this divorce is happening. Mark took a few more punches, his eyes swelling, and Henry dragged him toward the door, intending to throw him out. No! Sarah must give me the money. At the last second, Mark suddenly charged back into my house like a madman, sweeping everything off our coffee table onto the floor. If you don't give me the money, I'll smash up your house too. It's all your fault. Because of you, my house is leaking, and now Doris doesn't even have dry firewood. And you want a divorce? None of us will have it easy. Mark smashed almost everything within his reach. Henry went up to stop him, and the two began to grapple. You tried to pull a fast one on me just now. Don't think I can't really beat you. Mark roared, even hitting Henry. I grabbed a stick, but he easily swatted it away. He was used to heavy labor in the countryside. Henry, after all, was older and no match for him. The violent sounds of the fight drew in the neighbors. Seeing pinned to the ground, they all rushed over to pull Mark off him. Are you even human? Daring to hit an elder? Facing everyone's accusations, Mark remained unyielding. Henry started it. And their whole family smashed up my house. So why can't I retaliate? As he spoke passionately, Mark choked on his own saliva twice, repeatedly saying I was in the wrong for running back to my parents' home as a Lynn daughter-in-law. The neighbors all knew about Mark's affair. Some had even asked me in recent days if I had divorced him. Hearing him speak like this, they couldn't help but start accusing him. Mark, being cursed at, grew even more furious. What the hell do you know? If this were in Willow, you'd all be defying our ancestors' rules. You'd be publicly shamed in front of the whole town. This little dump of a village actually has a town hall? Well, poverty can really bring out the worst in people. Did modern civilization just skip over your village? Everyone burst into laughter. Mark's face turned beet red, and he lunged to hit the person. In a flash, he was kicked flying. Screw you. What kind of jerk dares to bully my family? From the crowd, Mike, a man with tattoos on his head, stepped forward, glaring coldly at Mark lying on the ground. When was kicked to the ground, he might have hit his head, and his bones made a crisp sound. He couldn't get up for a long time, looking at me desperately. Sarah, aren't you going to help me? I rolled my eyes and turned my head away. How could I possibly help this scumbag? Mike, if you still want to hit him, I'll close the door. There are no cameras inside, so feel free to beat him up. Hearing my words, Mike nodded, rubbed his hands together, and looked eager. Just as a punch was about to land, Mark let out a howl, struggled to his feet, and ran away. The court proceedings began. After being beaten at my house, Mark never showed his face again. He was quick to answer the court's calls, then asked me uncertainly, "Are you really divorcing me?" I thought after all these days, you were reflecting on your mistakes. Reflecting on his audacity, more like. How about this? I'll give you another chance. As long as you're willing to come back and live properly with me, I won't hold what you did against you. You should just live happily ever after with your girlfriend. Mediation failed, so Mark and I could only wait for the official court hearing. During that time, Mark came to find me again, and stealthily at that. Eleanor was pushing the stroller, taking the baby out for some sun, when a girl wearing a mask came over and asked for directions. After a long explanation, she claimed she couldn't find her way and wanted Eleanor to lead her. The next moment, the stroller was pushed away. When I received Eleanor's call, Henry and I had just returned from the supermarket, and I ran right into Mark. He panicked, grabbed the baby, and ran into a dead end. Don't come any closer. If you're determined to divorce me, I'll throw this baby to its death. Mark held our wailing son high, threatening me to let him go. Henry tried to grab the baby, but I stopped him. Go ahead and drop him. I don't care. He's the seed your family wanted anyway. If he dies, you won't have a son, and I won't sign any letter of forgiveness, so you'll go to jail. The lawsuit won't even be necessary. We'll just get a direct divorce. Mark was utterly astonished to hear my words. This is your biological son. How can you be so vicious? You're the one threatening to drop your son. I'm not playing around with his life. Weil was flustered. Henry snatched the baby. Eleanor also arrived with some relatives who were visiting. 4 or 5 young men surrounded Mark. Is he even human? Stealing a child, using his own son as leverage. Mark had conveniently hidden himself in a blind spot, so the relatives had no fear in hitting him, delivering every punch with full force. Mark cowered in the corner, moaning and begging us to let him go. The onlookers, seeing it was our family's affair, neither called the police nor intervened. After beating him for more than 10 minutes, Mark's forehead and nose were bleeding, and he no longer had the strength to call for help. Only then did everyone stop. Henry went up and landed another kick, realizing Mark was truly on his last breath. Call an ambulance and get him out of here before he actually dies. Just as we were about to leave, we noticed a girl who had been standing in the corner the whole time. It was her. She told me to lead the way. Eleanor roared, and everyone's gaze focused on Lily. I thought she looked familiar. It turned out to be Mark's girlfriend. The two of them had conspired to steal the baby. Because didn't want a divorce, he planned to take the baby as leverage. Don't you like him? Why are you helping him not get a divorce? Although I like him, I don't have money. You're more suited to be with Mark. I want to make you two happy. Lily was on the verge of crying, her voice soft and delicate. I was speechless, unsure how to respond. Does she even hear herself? Shouldn't there be a monument for her as China's best or something? Eleanor rushed out, cursing, "Whose homewrecker are you? Do you have any morals? Hooking up with my daughter's husband is bad enough, and now you have the nerve to say you want to make us happy? How shameless! If you weren't a young woman, I'd beat you to death. I'm serious, everything I said is true. Please don't get divorced, okay? The loan sharks came looking for Mark last time, and if he doesn't pay them back this month, they'll kill him." From's tearful confession, I learned about their relationship. They were childhood sweethearts. Lily, whose family was even poorer than Mark's, broke up with him because neither wanted the other to suffer. Then met me, the sucker. After getting my money, he offered to support Lily. That meant he had cheated on me less than a month after we started dating. After we got married, all the money I gave him was spent on Mark and Lily's entertainment, which is why they got injured at the ski resort and couldn't even afford their medical bills. Mark had caused a scene at the ski resort, demanding compensation, but it was Mark and Lily's failure to follow the rules that caused the accident. The resort only offered $10,000 as a symbolic gesture to keep the peace, and it wasn't nearly enough. The hospital was pressing for payment, and I still hadn't transferred any money, so in desperation, Mark had no choice but to go to loan sharks. Then he wanted to sell the car, hoping to get a bit more cash. Even after I agreed to transfer ownership, he took out another $50,000 loan, gave some money to Doris, and lost the rest at the card table. Now, with the loan sharks coming to collect, and my divorce summons from the court having arrived, Mark completely panicked, which is why he tried to snatch the baby. Lily still tried to cry and beg me not to divorce Mark, but I shrugged her off. "Thank you. You've just provided new evidence for my divorce case." On the day of the hearing, Mark's injuries hadn't fully healed, and Doris also came. She looked quite healthy, certainly not as miserable as Mark had made her out to be. I paid for a good lawyer, and Mark's affair had become a huge scandal online. Combined with Lily's recording, Mark's pro bono lawyer was completely outmaneuvered. His final effort was to try and prevent Mark from having to pay back my money. Doris was the first to explode. "What kind of lousy lawyer are you? Is it because I didn't pay you that you're messing with us? Why should that baby, Alin, be awarded to her? And we don't agree to the divorce." The judge repeatedly pounded the gavel, demanding silence from the defendants, but it was useless. The scene in the courtroom was utterly chaotic, and they had to take a recess. Mark's pro bono lawyer tried to explain the law, but Doris hit him with her cane. By the second half, he simply gave up. After the verdict, not only was the divorce granted, but Mark also had to reimburse me for all the expenses I had incurred for him, and pay additional compensation for the emotional distress he caused by trying to snatch the baby. Mark and Doris were dragged out by security after the hearing. Doris sat outside the courthouse, yelling that the judge was useless, and holding on to me, refusing to let my family leave. Other staff members who were there for cases couldn't help but stop to gossip. I warned Mark, "If you let Doris keep throwing a fit like this, people will just post the video online again. Do you really want your mom to go viral with you?" Mark's face went pale, and he dragged Doris away. I smoothly finalized the divorce with Mark. He looked at me piteously, pleading, "Couldn't you, for our son's sake, help me pay off my debts? Now you remember me when it's time to pay up? Go ask your little mistress, Lily. She loves you so much, I'm sure she'll find a way to help you." Mark's face fell a bit. With and Henry right there, he didn't dare do anything else and just walked away, defeated. Later, Mark came to my house many times, using our son as an excuse to ask me for money, but my family always chased him away. I heard he fled to avoid his debts, leaving Doris alone. At home, the debt collectors tracked them to their practically empty home and took all the chickens. Doris was so furious she had a heart attack. She truly had to be hospitalized this time. Lily took on the heavy responsibility of caring for Doris. Every day, she worked tirelessly and without complaint, yet Doris still complained that Lily wasn't spending money on her son. The rift between them grew wider, but Lily had no choice but to endure it because her reputation was ruined, and no man in Willow wanted her. Mark was on the run for 3 months before he was caught and severely beaten. The last time I spoke to him was when his mom called, pleading me for money. I, however, hope he lives a long life to face the consequences of his actions. If it were you, betrayed like this, would you give him a second chance? Speech Balloon, leave your answer in the comments. Bell, subscribe to the channel. The next episode's huge twist will blow you away.